Welcome friends to EPG Patashala. I am Dr. N. Janardana, working as additional professor in the Department of Psychiatric Social Work, NIMHANS, Bangalore. So today we are going to learn about severe mental illness. So as I said in my previous module, the types of mental illness mainly been categorized as organic mental disorder, then severe mental illness and common mental illness. So let us understand more about severe mental illness in next 30 minutes. So severe mental illness is often defined by its symptom and associated disability. 1% of the population at any given point of time reported to have severe form of mental illness. If I have to project this figure for the Indian population with a 1.2 billion population, so you would say that 1.2 crore population in our country are having severe mental illness. And this illness include disorder that are producing psychotic symptoms such as schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, major depression and bipolar disorder. So now let us understand the type of one type of severe mental disorder which is called as bipolar disorder. Kraepelin has described the term bipolar disorder as a manic depressive insanity in 1981. He describes it as a series of attacks of elation and depression with periods of relative normalcy in between a generally favorable prognosis. Look at the screen, you are seeing a chart where a line being drawn which indicates a normal mood, and again a curve being written on the top of that normal line which indicates that person is in an elated mood, where the person would experience extreme happiness. And again the same person we have seen he would also like go back below the normal mood. That means again a semicircle being drawn, a semicircle where which indicates that person is experiencing extreme sadness again without reason. And then again in between period would be normal. Sometimes these ups and downs can be continuously. 1 week the person may be in an elated mood, then immediately the next week the person may get into depression. So this up and down movement is one of the main symptoms of this bipolar disorder, where in bipolar disorder we would see both manic symptoms and the depressive symptoms. The manic behaviors can be such as continuous elated or euphoric mood, extreme happiness which cannot be explained, and the person would be irritable and restless, cannot sit at one place, wandering always, feel increased energy, inflated self-esteem, little need for sleep, increased talkativeness, increased sex drive, racing thoughts, inability to focus or concentrate, risk-taking behavior will be more, increased spending, talk about big things, saying that I am a very influential person and I will be able to get things done for people. Now I have become a prime minister, I know prime minister is my good friend, I can get things done for all. Like that, the grandiose ideas would be there in a person who is having a manic symptom. The same person after few months can get into a depressive mood where it will be total opposite to that of a manic episode, where the elated mood will be turned into a sad mood. Again without reason the person would become sad, anxious, loss of interest in pleasurable activities, crying spells, change in appetite or body weight. Person who was liking to eat more during a manic phase, in depressive phase person may not like to eat, his appetite would get down and body weight may get reduced. Experience insomnia or sometimes oversleeping, even though oversleeping but the person may not feel satisfied that he slept. Fatigue, loss of energy, lack of sex drive, self-harm and suicidal thoughts, feeling of guilt and worthlessness, difficulty in concentrating, and death wishes are some of the symptoms. We can see here in the manic phase and depressive phase are totally two opposite phases, where the person would be experiencing the two opposite things. So this condition has been called as bipolar disorder. Sometimes we would see patients who only have a manic episode, one manic episode, then become normal, again the manic episode, and not get into depression. Sometimes we would see the same person would get into manic and both depressive episode together. So if it is only manic episode, then we call it as unipolar disorder. When they have both manic and depressive, then only we call it as a bipolar disorder. Let us understand the course and prognosis. Normally the age of onset will be in their 20s. Late onset is very rare. When they are either in their towards the end of their academic career, the person would experience such symptoms, and it may affect their academic career. Most of them would discontinue their studies, and getting back to studies, it may be difficult for them. But as a therapist, we should be able to help them to get back to their studies and continue their education. So average length of a manic episode is 6 months, and the interval between the episode becomes progressively shorter with age and the number of episodes. If this illness not been treated, so chances of getting relapses are going to be more. When more relapses, the illness also would become chronic. The major problem what we face among the clients is when they are episodic, they would take medicines. When they get into the normal mood, person would feel, why should I take medicine, and he would stop the medication. So by stopping the medication, the person would be in the premorbid level of functioning for few months, again an episode would come. So proper psychoeducation need to be given for these families and this person. That medication would require for a quite longer period of time, maybe 5 years, 10 years, or sometime it can be for lifetime also. So as I earlier said, in terms of the management, the pharmacotherapy plays a major role. So we have good antidepressant drugs and mood stabilizers. Sometimes ECT is also been considered for mania as well as for depression. Other psychological treatment include supportive psychotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, interpersonal therapy, marital therapy, dynamic psychotherapy, and continuation therapy are other treatment modalities which have been tried out for people with bipolar affective disorder. Particularly marital therapy helped them because of their either manic episode, the relationship between the couple would have got disturbed. So marital therapy would help them in understanding the problems which are related to psychiatric condition, and then help them to enhance their marital quality so that they will be able to deal with the problem more better way. Supportive psychotherapy is another intervention which has been commonly tried out, where the clients being heard, and the support will be extended so that they would get more insight into their problem, and would take the importance of treatment and would continue treatment support. Now let us understand the second form of severe mental disorder. So this is schizophrenia. This is one of the most complex disorder to describe. So predominant features are hallucination, delusion, and interference in the thought. Kurtz neither tried to make the diagnosis more reliable by identifying the group of symptoms which are characteristics of schizophrenia. So to have a good understanding of a person with schizophrenia, if you can just look back in our past experiences, we would have seen many people either in the bus stop or in the railway station. We would have seen people talking to themselves and not having a good personal hygiene, and been roaming on the roads and eating food whatever been available on the road, or sometimes we would have seen people begging or throwing anger outbursts, being abusive and assertive at the community level, and also the people whom we would categorize them as having schizophrenia. So they would experience all schizophrenic symptoms. Let us now understand the symptoms of schizophrenia. The symptoms, Sneeder has talked about first rank symptoms of schizophrenia, where identified certain symptoms, hearing thoughts aloud. So sometimes clients come and say to us, so whatever they have been thinking, it's been known to everyone. So there is no secret. Everyone would understand by looking at their face. They would understand their thoughts. Sometimes clients also would say like they have been hearing voices where the voices are discussing about them, and sometimes these voices can be like a commentary form where they would comment him to do certain things, and he has to just follow the comments. And sometimes they would be discussing bad about this person, which would make the person irritated, and then he would start responding to those voices. Then we would see that this person has been talking to self. But actually this person would have been responding to the voices what he has been hearing. Unless we understand that, we may not be able to understand this person and help him out. So we would see him as talking to self, but actually he is not talking to self, he is responding to the voices what he has been hearing, which we can't listen or hear those voices. This one peculiar condition in schizophrenia, they would experience things which others cannot experience, and they would respond to those experiences which others would feel that this person has been either talking to self or been abusive to self without any reason. Thought withdrawal or insertion is another first rank symptom which we see in people with schizophrenia, where patients would come back to us and say like my thoughts been withdrawn by someone external agent, or sometimes this is not my thought, that thought has been inserted by that person. By looking at me, the thoughts have been transferred to me and I am thinking for him rather than he thinking for himself. So they would put such experiences in front of us. Then thought broadcasting, where they feel that thoughts being broadcasted. If they are watching a TV, they would say like they are projecting my story in the TV. So they will try to relate themselves. They feel that their thoughts being broadcasted without like he disclosing, it has been disclosed to everyone. Then delusional persecution, where clients would feel that people are trying to harm them. If they see two people talking to themselves, they would feel that they are planning to kill him or harm him. So then they will go and pick a fight with these people. So this is one type of first rank symptom. And feelings or actions experienced as made or influenced by external agents. So they feel that external agents are controlling their behavior, their feelings and their thoughts, and then end up into problems. The symptoms of schizophrenia can be divided broadly into positive symptoms and negative symptoms. So positive symptoms usually occur in the initial phase of illness, and they tend to be more extreme or termed as positive because they involve in excessive experience such as psychotic or a delusional episode. The common positive symptoms are delusion, hallucination and disturbance in the thought process. Delusion is the belief that are false based on incorrect inferences about external reality. These beliefs are firmly held despite any evidence to the contrary. To give an example, as previously said, when they see two people talking to themselves, they would term it as they are making plans to kill him or harm him. So they try to misinterpret the situation. So they strongly believe, and even if we challenge them or confront them, they may not be able to get convinced. And because of their belief, they may get into go and express their delusion or suspicion about a thing. Sometimes you also would have seen many clients coming to us and saying that they are suspecting their wife, and they don't allow wife to talk to anyone. So they feel if she talks to one person, that means she is having the extramarital affair, and this suspicion would become a major cause for a marital problem, and this is one of the positive symptoms. The second positive symptom is hallucination, where in my previous modules I talked about how hallucination and the senses what we experience, like person with schizophrenia can have a different type of experiences in terms of seeing people in their absence, hearing voices in their absence, or feeling the touch in their absence, tasting things in their absence, or smelling things in their absence. So in all the senses, people can experience different things in their absences, and that is called as hallucination. And this is the core symptom of schizophrenia. Then we also see the disturbance in the thought process. This can include stream of thoughts, a sudden loss of all thoughts. Thought retardation is also seen sometime as part of the symptom. The client would start talking about my son goes to school, then immediately the word would be my son goes to school, sun rises in the east, I like to go to I like to go to eastern countries. That they would pick up one word from each thing and then talk about make sentences which are not related. The person would have started with saying about sun, then he went into sun rises in the east, then I like to go to eastern countries. So in the whole thing he has picked up one word and then tried to frame the sentences, but towards the end of it we can't make a sense of what the client has been saying. So which is called as flight of ideas, from one idea to other ideas is been shifting. The second type of symptoms what we see in schizophrenia is negative symptoms, which tends to be a long-term symptom. They are termed negative because they describe as loss of normal function. Usually we have treatment for the positive symptoms, good antipsychotics been discovered which would deal with the positive symptoms like hallucination, delusion and their thought process. Whereas for negative symptoms there are no medicine which would deal with the negative symptoms. The negative symptoms include lack of emotion and motivation, tiredness or lack of energy, becoming withdrawn and isolated, loss of concentration, loss of interest in life, sleep deprivation. Usually we see families coming to us, they wanted, during the first contact, they wanted the person to be out of these positive symptoms. Once the positive symptoms are cured, person is able to have a control over the voices or delusion, then the negative symptoms would subset. Negative symptoms would subset there, they find it difficult for him to put him either in to day-to-day activity in terms of maintaining personal hygiene, daily routine activities. The person would have problem in maintaining because of amotivation and apathy. The person will not be interested to maintain the day-to-day activities. Getting into job becomes another problem, and in between they would like to have rest rather than continuous job. The thought process would get affected. So all these things is difficult to treat. Medicines would only help us in terms of dealing with the delusion or hallucination or the thought process, whereas other psychosocial interventions are required which need to be added on in order to deal with the negative symptoms. Let us now understand the subtypes of schizophrenia. There are mainly four types of schizophrenia. One is paranoid schizophrenia, hebephrenic schizophrenia, then catatonic schizophrenia, then undifferentiated schizophrenia, residual schizophrenia. So mainly 5 categories are there. So under paranoid schizophrenia, it is commonest form and characteristics are delusion of persecution, persecutory hallucination, thought disorder, negative features and catatonia are not prominent. This type has a better prognosis compared to other subtypes, because person and it's difficult to treat also, because person would not agree that he is having delusion of persecution. He firmly believes, but this person would the day-to-day functions would not be affected. He will be able to perform his day-to-day activities, and if treated, the person's quality of life can be enhanced and people around him also can be peaceful. The second type of schizophrenia is hebephrenic schizophrenia. It is called disorganized schizophrenia, where the thought disorder and affective symptoms are prominent in this subtype. Delusion and hallucinations are fleeting in this schizophrenia. Catatonic schizophrenia, the striking feature are motor symptoms and changes in activity between excitement and stupor. Motor symptoms include mannerism, stereotypes, posturing, negativism, ambiguous tendency, waxy flexibility. So these are some of the common symptoms we see in catatonic schizophrenia. So in catatonic schizophrenia, the psychomotor, like if you ask the person to just lift his hand and leave him, and then if you give a comment like to drop the hand back, but he will not be dropping the hand and he would be just keeping the hand like this. He will not be able to understand the comment what been given to him. So that we call it as the catatonic schizophrenia, where the postures been maintained for a longer period of time, and because of these postures, he may not be, he need to be treated, and sometimes ECT is given in order to reduce such posturing also. Then we have simple schizophrenia, where the prominent features are odd behavior, social withdrawal, and occupational dysfunction would be seen, and the clear schizophrenic symptoms are absent. So then we have undifferentiated schizophrenia, where when we are not able to put them under these four categories of paranoid, hebephrenic, catatonic, and simple schizophrenia, we will put them as undifferentiated schizophrenia. Now let us understand in terms of the management for schizophrenia. Pharmacotherapy like antipsychotic medicines and antidepressants or mood stabilizers, if the comorbid condition exists, can be given. Then ECT, that is electroconvulsive therapy, is used when catatonia, severe comorbid depressive features are prominent. Evidence suggests that ECT can be effective in acute episodes also. Psychosocial interventions include family therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, social skill training. In family therapy, both formal and informal is employed at various stages. This work with expressed emotion which are associated with the illness. Sometimes families may overprotect the client, sometimes families may have a negative feeling towards the client. We need to understand these positive and negative reactions to the family, which has been termed as expressed emotion, and sometimes expressed emotion can act as a reason for the relapse of the illnesses. So in family therapy, we need to understand the reactions of family members, whether it's a positive expressed emotion or negative expressed emotion, and then help the families to change their behavior towards the client, so that the client would be able to recover fast. So we need to educate the family, the psychoeducation, which we call it as part of family therapy, where we would educate the families to understand the symptoms and to also understand relapse signs, and how family need to be supportive, help them to deal with the negative symptoms which cannot be treated with medicines alone. Family need to cooperate, and also need to encourage the family to get person to get into occupational activities. First start with daily routines, and then slowly encourage the person to get into a productive activity, so that the person would take responsibility about his life, and families would be relieved from caring. Then the cognitive behavior therapy is another mode of intervention, where direct confrontation is not done, but other alternative modes are used. Turkington et al. Says that CBT has a robust effect on positive, negative, and overall symptoms in schizophrenia, and could be delivered as brief intervention, where the cognitions of that person need to be dealt, and then help him to deal with the cognition, so that he would be able to take control over his life situation. Social skill training is another important intervention which we provide for people with schizophrenia. People with schizophrenia tend to have problems in terms of their socialization. Their social skills would get affected. We need to teach patient the social skill, interpersonal skills, behavioral rehearsal, feedback, and training should be given. Whenever a visitor has come home, the person should be able to greet them. Because of the schizophrenic condition, because of the negative symptom, person may not show interest with the visitor, and that may send a wrong signal. So we may have to teach the patient about the basic social skills and interpersonal skills, and rehearsals need to be given. Many a times we have seen a couple who are finding it difficult to maintain the interpersonal relationship, because either the husband or a wife who is having schizophrenic condition may not show interest in the other person, maintain relationship. So these interpersonal skills need to be taught, and a lot of behavioral rehearsals need to be made as part of intervention, and we need to give a feedback and training to such clients. So next type of severe mental disorder is schizoaffective disorder, where in schizoaffective disorder there will be a combination of both schizophrenia and the mood disorder symptoms. Here the person that schizophrenic symptoms such as hallucination and delusion also would be experienced. At the same time, mood disorder symptoms of depression and mania has also been seen. So we call it a schizoaffective disorder, where the schizophrenic symptoms and affective symptoms are combined together during the episode. It may run a unique course in each affected person, so it is not as well understood or well defined as other mental health condition. Each individual will experience differently, so we cannot, it's very difficult to say about this disorder is going to be in the same way, or the prognosis is going to be same way, the course is going to be in the same way. Sometimes untreated schizoaffective disorder may lead to problems in terms of functioning at work or in the school, in social situation, causing loneliness and trouble holding down the job or attending school, which leads to disability. It can lead to severe form of disability. People with schizoaffective disorder may need assistance and support with daily life functioning also. Signs and symptoms of schizoaffective disorder. So the main symptoms are delusion, where having a false fixed belief despite evidence to the contrary, then experiencing hallucination, which can be hearing voices or seeing things in their absence. Then symptoms of depression such as feeling empty or sad, worthlessness. Then in between period of mood, manic mood, or sudden increase in energy with behavior that's out of character. Impaired communication such as only partial answering questions or giving answers that are completely unrelated. Impaired occupational and academic or social functioning. Problem with managing personal care, including cleanliness and physical appearance, are some of the signs and symptoms. People with schizoaffective disorder generally respond best to the combination of medication like psychotherapy and life skills training, and along with the medication. Then treatment varies depending on the type and severity of symptoms, whether the disorder is the depressive or bipolar type. We need to understand, and then the treatment need to be given as per the diagnosis. In some cases, hospitalization may be needed. Long-term treatment can help to manage the symptoms. So next type of severe mental illness is obsessive compulsive disorder. So this is an entrenching and often disabling syndrome characterized by two distinct phenomena of obsessions and compulsion. Obsessions are unwanted and intrusive ideas, images or impulses that run through the person's mind over and over again. So to understand this better, so we all would have seen people who often go and check whether they have locked their house properly. So at least 4 or 5 times they would check, then only they will get convinced. So these are the people who are having obsessive thoughts that they have not locked properly. And obsessive thoughts are something which are unwanted thoughts which would be repeatedly coming to them, and they would not get convinced unless they check it at least 4 or 5 times. So obsessions are considered as thoughts. Compulsions are when the obsessions are put into action, that is called as compulsion. Just getting thoughts is considered as like it's an obsession. When these thoughts being put into action, that is called compulsion. In the lock example what I had just spoken, where a thought would come to that person that he has not locked properly, because of that thought he will go and check. Checking is compulsion, just getting thoughts is obsession. A compulsion is a behavior that is performed in response to the obsession. Individual put this thought into action as per the rules he has made for himself or herself in an attempt to control the distress causing by the obsession. We have seen some clients who feel comfortable if they do some like puja in the morning. At least they need to do puja for about 2 hours in the morning. Only then they would feel comfortable. If they just do for 5 minutes, the whole day they will get disturbed. So they end up doing in the ritualistic way and spend time for 2 hours. By end of 2 hours, the person would feel confused. So they would come, they would make their own rules. I have seen some clients who if they have to go and take bath, at least they need to use so much of water, then only they would get convinced that their body has been clean. Or sometimes they may have to apply 8 or 10 times soap to their body, then only they feel their body has been clean, they are out of their contamination. So these are some of the compulsive behaviors we would see in the people. People with OCD hide their problem because of embarrassment. The clinical features, the core symptom of OCD are obsession and compulsion, as I have previously said. Obsessions are intrusive, inappropriate and disturbing ideas, thoughts or images. Compulsion are repetitive behaviors to reduce this anxiety. So obsessive categories can be aggressive, sexual, religious, somatic, symmetry, contamination, hoarding and others. Compulsive categories are checking, ordering, rearranging, counting, repeating rituals, cleaning, hoarding and collecting and others. So this can be the thing. Common obsessions are fear of contamination, somatic obsessions, disgust with bodily waste or secretions, concerns with order, balance and exactness, worry that a task has been done poorly even when the person knows this is not true, fear of thinking evil or sinful thoughts, constantly thinking about certain sounds, images, words or numbers, a constant need for reassurance, hearing of fear of harming a family member or a friend. So these are some of the common obsession what we see among the clients. Compulsions are cleaning and grooming rituals, checking rituals, repeating rituals for a particular number of times, counting over and over to certain number, seeking reassurance and approval, saving newspaper, book, mail when they no longer need it. So hoarding is also one type of compulsion, and these are commonly seen in people, but most of the time these symptoms are not considered as an illness. So they would say that this person is a perfect person, so he is being very careful and collecting all the material and hoarding it. He may require some time and so he is hoarding it. Sometimes we would have seen person like always engaged in cleaning the house. So we would term that person as a person who gives more importance to the cleanness rather than looking that this is one of the symptom of mental health problem which can be treated. So most commonly seen but often unrecognized in the people. So let us understand the course and prognosis with regard to obsessive compulsive disorder. The mean age of onset, as per the research studies, it is 20 years and more seen with males compared to female, and having younger age of onset. Fewer than 15% of the onset of illness is after 35 years. So the majority of onset would happen at the age of 20 or in their 20s. Most patients with OCD have a chronic course with some fluctuation in the severity of symptoms over time. Although initial thoughts have to be have a poor outcome, the advent of behavioral and pharmacological therapies has led to substantial improvement in a number of patients with complete remission or unusual. So again, the management include pharmacotherapy and psychosocial intervention. Under pharmacotherapy, we have medicines like clomipramine and SSRI have been found effective in decreasing obsession. And other psychosocial interventions would be like have shown that behavioral therapy play a major role in the reduction of obsession, and then combination of drugs and behavior therapy are usually recommended. Self-help books are useful for some patients where they would understand the experiences of others, and they may be able to challenge their cognitions and deal with the cognition. Exposure and response prevention, a type of behavioral therapy, is used to lessen unwanted compulsions. So now with this we have come to the end of understanding severe mental disorder, where we understood that it's 1% prevalence of we see in the country, which we project if to the country as 1.2 crore population are suffering with severe mental disorder. And we also understood about the types of severe mental disorder, where it is schizophrenia, bipolar affective disorder, schizoaffective and obsessive compulsive disorder. So these are some of the types of severe mental disorder. We have also looked in terms of what are the various treatment modalities available for severe mental disorder. So we also have understood that just pharmacotherapy alone would not be sufficient. Along with pharmacotherapy, psychosocial intervention, if added, the person will be able to take control over his life situation, and families would be helped so the severe mentally ill person can lead a normal life and a dignified life within the community. Thank you all.